One thing about me is I love me some animated superhero films. So today we're doing top 5 must-see animated superhero movies. Now, without further ado, we're gonna get into the first pick. We're talking about Under the Red Hood. Under the Red Hood is basically the introduction, for me at least, for Jason Todd and his story of how essentially the Joker beat on my mans when he was Robin, caught him lacking, and then boom, Batman appears, finds this boy Robin, his second Robin, to be dead. They eventually resurrect my man to the Lazarus Pit. He comes back as Red Hood, a dangerous, crazy vigilante hellbent on actually putting the criminals down, something that Batman does not do because there's no kill rule. And I really just love the emotion done by my boy Jensen Ackles, voice actor of the Red Hood, as his adult form. It was just amazing to see the level of emotion and sadness that was portrayed between the relationship that he had with Bruce. And overall, I just truly love this movie. It's one of the earliest DC animated movies that I've seen, and it really put me into the Batman verse to see the other light, not just the badass, detective things, really the sad and somber things, the things that make people go crazy and end up changing entirely who they become as characters in general, especially when it comes to people like Jason Todd. Number 4, we got Flashpoint. Flashpoint was one of my earliest introductions into the Flash universe. Much like the Red Hood, I didn't really go in knowing too much about the Flash universe, and it really, to my astounding surprise, was amazing. Seeing the entire DC universe in a different light, seeing Thomas Wayne Batman instead of our normal Bruce Wayne, and how that change really affected the DC universe with the Batman that they actually had to deal with, and the Joker that they ended up getting, the war with Atlantis and the Amazons. It was just crazy to see, and how Barry had to bring everything back. The entire movie is just an insane ride, and if you haven't seen it, I really highly suggest that you go ahead and go watch the Flashpoint movie. 3, we got Son of Batman. That was the introduction for Damian Wayne. I really hated Damian initially. Damian is just such a snotty little brat who, I understand he's the grandson of the Demon Hand from the League of Assassins, so I totally get it, and he's also the son of Batman, and he knows how great he is. He's been honed for years and years and years, up to the point where he actually meets his father to be a killer assassin, so I totally get it. And the way that he is about killing, how flippant and uncaring he is when it comes to it, versus Batman and his no kill rule, you really get to see the juxtaposition between the father and son, and how it is awkward initially for Batman to go into that father role without really knowing Damian that well. Overall, the action in the movie is top tier, the voice acting is amazing, and eventually you do begin to kind of like Damian somewhat towards the end of the movie. Coming up number 4, we have a tie between Ultimate Avengers 1 and 2. The first one is kind of like a prelude to the 2008 Avengers movie that we got, just in animated form, and it really illustrated a lot more of the Chitauri side of things and getting more into that whole side, like with Claw and things like that. It actually didn't involve Loki, and so it definitely took a different turn, and Hulk ended up being kind of like the big bad that they ended up having to fight. So it was definitely a huge twist and very interesting, and if you've seen it, I think you would like to see the differences between that and the MCU version. The second one is more of a continuation of the last one, mixed with like the Black Panther movie. It's kind of like a mix of that, as it introduces Black Panther to the team, and kind of how he meets the team and how things go between those characters. Definitely can say that the movies were well animated, well voice acted, and very entertaining, and a really good change of pace from the actual story we get from the live action films. If you're not familiar with them, definitely check those out. And last but not least, we got Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man films of all time. The art style, the way Miles is introduced, the tones, the themes of the movie, I really definitely think that Into the Spider-Verse has to be one of the greatest animated superhero movies. And if you haven't seen it, you live under a rock or something like that, I think you need to go ahead and check it out. I have some honorable mentions, one being Hulk versus Wolverine and Hulk versus Thor. They were like a 2-part special, and the action, the grit, the freaking animation, the music, it goes hard in both of them, and it really shows that version of Hulk that everybody really loves to see, that action-packed version of Hulk, that monstrous version of Hulk that actually goes crazy in these fights that we know and love. And my last honorable mention, the Doctor Strange movie, is more of like an animated, shorter telling of the MCU film, and with much better pacing and an animated version of it, just having all the fantastical things be a lot more, palatable, I'd say, in the animated version of it. I truly enjoyed this, and to this day, I think it's much more of a superior way to introduce Doctor Strange to the MCU, to the Marvel film, to any Marvel fan. So those have been my top 5 and must-see animated superhero movies with 2 honorable mentions. Let me know what type of animated movies you guys love to see, whether it's Marvel, DC. Let me know in the comments below. Studio Breeze, and like I always say, keep breezy.